Across 200 companies, I've seen more than 1,000 closers come and go. And the ones that fail, they get removed within 2 to 3 weeks, every single time for the same reason. And the mistake is that you maybe make, or that I have made before, is that before you even interview them, you already make the mistake. And here's the mistake. And look, it's very easy to blame the closer, which is what most people do. But let me ask you something. The closer you hired, right? Or the one you're about to hire, the one that is going there, what will they actually do on a daily basis? What will their plan look like? When are they a good fit for you? When are they not? And if you cannot answer these things, you're setting the wrong expectations from day one, right? You're hiring someone for a role you never defined. And that's the mistake. And every single call that closer takes is a lead you paid for, right? So they're walking in with certain expectations, and the wrong expectations is what will get them removed within just 2 to 3 weeks. Now, defining the role is where the system actually starts, right? They will never start following up with leads if you don't set the right expectations. So in this video, I'm going to give you the exact system, right? In terms of how I've used this to hire more than 40 closers in the past 7 years. I'm going to give you the 4R document, which is going to help you define who you actually want before you talk to anyone. I'm going to give you the hiring ads ecosystem, which is going to give you the right people coming to you 24/7. And I'm going to give you even the hiring script so you can test how they think under pressure with a live role play. And I'm going to show you the questions that I ask them, which is a little bit of a funny question, and it involves a spaceship, and you'll see what I mean. And then at the end, the paid trial, where we ramp up the closer call by call before they run calls alone. And by the end of the video, you'll see exactly how we find the right people before we hire them. Now, before we dive in, if you want a free assessment and constraint analysis of your business, I want to see how we actually do sales and how we can help your business move forward, that we can get on a call and look at what's actually holding your business back right now and show you how we run this on the closing side, then you can decide what to do with it. I would invite you to book a call through the link in the description. I will take you through the complete process for your business, diagnosing where the constraints are, so we can solve that with AI systems that will make your job a lot easier as a CEO and more fun to run your business. Now, with that being said, the first part of actually getting the right hires and understanding how to do this is that you need to define what you want. You need to define your closer like you define your ICP, right? The role is, for example, what they will do and what they will not do. And in some companies that includes follow-ups, CRM notes, in some it doesn't. In my company, it means that they need to do an end of the day report every single day. When they finish their day, they need to do an end of the day report. And they also need to let our marketing team know that when they had a call, what happened with that call, so that the marketing team can adjust any leads from that point of view from the closer, right? That's my expectations. Now, if my closer doesn't do that, then they don't follow community, like business guidelines, my business guidelines, right? The responsibility is the second thing, and that is what they will actually do, what they don't do daily, and how they need to think daily. At the moment when you hire someone and that specific person doesn't know what they need to do, right? They don't know exactly what their responsibilities are. So if I go to my closer and I say, what are your responsibilities? Well, my closer would say, I know I need to take on the calls, show people a professional expertise in terms of being a consultant, and act as an expert within the business of Warrior Success and guide them to the path of choosing the right program ethically. That's how we do it. But if they don't know what they need to do and how they need to do it, becomes a big problem. So the requirements is also a very important thing. So when someone is a good fit, they like structuring their calendar, right? They naturally like talking with people. They're excited about sales. When someone is not that ideal closer, you're not going to have someone that is going to actually enjoy the thing that they do. They're not going to enjoy talking with people. They're not going to be enjoying to communicate with them, right? And that's going to be a big problem for you if you don't align on those requirements that would be needed in this closing role. The last thing is the results, and that is what they deliver on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, plus a salary indication, so they know what is fair. The moment they don't know what they're going to be getting, the moment they don't know what a good compensation will be for them, it becomes a constraint for them to actually want to do the work with you. Because if a closer doesn't know how much they will earn, or if the closer actually doesn't ask you how much they will earn, well, in my books, usually that is not a good closer, right? A good closer is always interested in earning more and always wanting to grow more when it comes down to sales, because that's what a closer initially needs to do. They need to make sales. And when you want to make sales, you care about numbers, you care about KPIs, you care about wanting to hit certain goals. And if they don't do that, well, then maybe the results alignment is not there. So based on these 4 things, I want you to define the 4R role document for yourself. What are the roles, responsibilities, requirements, and results for your closer? Because if you don't know this, how do you expect them to do well when you haven't even positioned this correctly to them? Okay? Now, part 1 of this is that you need to set the expectations. If you don't set the expectations, people will walk over you. If you're a CEO, if you're a spouse, if you're whatever, you need to understand that you set the expectations, you set the frame. If you don't set it, people will go over that and they will test your boundaries. So closers are coming in expecting booked calls with warm people, they just close. And that's sometimes not the way things work, right? Because sometimes there will be no calls on the calendar. Sometimes there will be 2, 3, 4 calls on the calendar, and then they will need to work their leads in their pipeline from before. Because for me, a truly good closer will handle their leads and work their leads regardless of if they have a full-on calendar. If there's no warmed-up calendar, you need to tell them that. So the no-show rate will be there. There's no business that has a 100% closing rate. Some that come very close, but none of them that have consistently month by month 100% closing rate, right? If there are business like that, bravo to them. And following those people up that actually no-show is a part of the role. Now, you're not an appointment setter as a closer, but you do need to work your leads, right? If you want a deal, you need to work the leads, and that needs to be understood. This is something that I always put in my role document, and I would honestly advise you to do the same, so that they know what the job is before day one. They understand what they need to do. They need to put in the effort. It's not a lazy thing. They cannot be lazy and just, want to close warm deals. That's not how life works. You need to work for it. Now, on paying, I would say 10% commission is a standard on mid and high ticket. On low ticket, it can go up to 12.5 to 15%. So for your information, everything below 2K for me is mid ticket, and everything below 250 is for me low ticket. Okay. So to be clear, high ticket for me, anything above 2K. Some people would say it's above 5K or 10K. Well, that's for me super high ticket. So in a sense, if your program or your offer or whatever you do is lower than 2K, I would never advise doing 10% because it's tougher for the closer to make more money because your offer is lower, so they need to sell more, especially when split payments, come into play. It's going to be very tough for them to actually crack the code on earning a lot of money, unless you have bonus structures, which again, we have as well, but we'll get to that. So regarding the part 2, the hiring ads ecosystem, right? This will recruit, filter, test, and ramp up people to up to top 1%, right? The people that are top 1% will want to go to you and work with you. So what we do is we run ads towards a careers page with a short video of what you expect, right? From there, there's a role page with more information, and then we have the application. And then we have an auto qualification that disqualifies people who are not a good fit as a closer. So to give you an idea on how we do this, so what we have is we have the ad. So the ad is the first thing that we make. Now, of course, the ad is the thing that will need to get the attention from the people. So we start with the ad copy. In the ad copy, we clarify what we want in that person. So in this case, we are going to be mentioning that we want a client success manager who can support agency owners, coaches, and entrepreneurs inside of For Success. Then we specify what they will do. So they will manage client engagement inside school, keep clients accountable, spot where they are stuck, support implementation, capture wins and testimonials, help make the client success system more structured. And this role is best for someone who has worked inside of a coaching business, we say. So we want someone with already some experience. And then we also need to know that they don't need to be a full ad specialist, but they should understand online marketing, funnels, lead generation, CRM, and basic paid ads terminology. Right? So we also clarify that we want full-time and Central Eastern Time preferred, experience required, that there's no beginners. Then we have made the image, and this image we make via Cloud Code or via chat. And what we do with this is we pretty much clarify in the headline as well that we want a client success manager and that they have worked inside of agencies or high ticket coaching programs, right? Then again, what we do is in the post, we specify the name that we are hiring. We specify what we want them to do, what we want them to manage. So for example, school, Discord, drive engagement, retention, accountability, support clients, capture wins, keep client success system structured. And then the earning potential becomes 4 to 7K a month to start growth, the growth path to 10K plus a month, right? And this is fully remote, fully CAT preferred, experience required, and then they can apply. And then we also have some social proof adding that we are a legislable business that has actually worked with clients. We're not just a starting business, right? Because beginners, would want to work with beginning businesses, or they would opt in for everyone. But if we specify that we are a big business, beginners might be, tailored towards not coming to us and letting us know that they want to apply, right? So the first thing that we have is within GHL, we have our own funnel. So within the funnel, we have a landing page and a video page. This video page sends people to pretty much a video, which is recorded by me, where I explain a little bit more on how they can earn money as a setter. So this is in case of a setter, but the closer is the same thing. This is a video of me. When they click on apply now, what will actually happen is they will go to the application page. So in this application page, we will have certain questions, certain things that we want to specify, and letting them know what they need to do in terms of like preparation. So we'll have a couple of things like their name, email, phone number, country, which is also important because, to be honest, from third world countries, I usually don't take on people. It's just something that we've tested and tried. Nothing against those people. I love all people from all different diversities and races and everything like that. But it's a very important thing to distinct the people that you've seen opting in that are lesser quality and then disqualify them. Now, I asked them in which markets have you booked calls before, roughly how many qualified calls per month have you personally booked. So this for setters. Again, we have a closing one, which I'm going to show to you guys as well. But just for example, like we have a long qualifying list, which I want people to go through, because the thing is, everyone can apply. Everyone would want to apply because they see that they can earn money. The moment when they see they can earn something, it becomes an issue, because when they actually want to, and I see that we only have the setter one, but never mind. So when they want to earn money, they don't care about applying to your needs, right? That's why you need to be very good in expectations, letting them know what you want. Because if in the forefront, you don't let them know that it's not for beginners, then beginners will be attracted towards the specific hiring post that you've made or the ad that you're going to be running. So once they actually go through that application page, right, they will go to a, they will either be sent to a page where we say, thank you, you are not the right fit, we'll stay in touch with you. Because if they answer, for example, specific questions wrong in that sense, then we completely disqualify them. So to give you an example on the CSM, what we did is this application page is set up in such a way that if they answer specific questions that we don't want, then it's going to be a problem. So for example, if they say, have you worked with an agency or high ticket coaching program before? If they say no, boom, direct disqualification. We don't even want to make them go further in the specific form, because they waste our time, right? So we don't want that. Same goes for the question on the CSM, for example, where we ask, for example, what was the average revenue level of clients you supported? If it's under 5K a month, I don't need to have you on, because honestly, it really doesn't make sense, right? On the closer side of things, you want them sending you a loom pretty much on everything that you do. So in our previous closer application, what we had is we had a type form. In this specific type form, the questions that we had are as follows. So we ask their name, we ask their phone number, we ask all these things. I'm going to click on get started. So what we did is we asked their name, their first name, and their last name. After that, what we did is we did nice to meet you. So I'll just do my email test@sc. Okay. Then which country are you from? I'll just do A. We ask, how could you describe yourself? If they are an appointment setter and they know that as an appointment setter because we want to hire closers, what is going to happen is they're going to be automatically disqualified, because we don't want appointment setters. We want closers, right? So we click on closers. Then what are the 3 things you're best at? We want certain things like communication, closing, managing a sales team. If they say appointment setting, it can be good, but it's not ideal, right? So I'll just do like these things, and then pretty much I'll click on OK. Then can you tell me something about what you do at the moment? We are looking for answers where they will say something about like doing sales at a company, sales experience, sales executive, whatever. And then when they've done that, we want to let them know like, what do you like the most about closing in general? We ask them that question. And then could you share a recording from a sales call, what you did with a prospect? So what I am looking for is I'm looking for someone to actually share a live recording, because if you're a closer and you don't have live recordings of you doing sales calls and you want to join a company that is already doing calls, the best thing you can do is, if you don't have it, is do a role play. So kind of in a way, I'm also like kind of testing them, like kind of shit testing them a little bit, because I want to see if they are going to do the extra effort to actually do a role play and then record it and then do it here. I want to see what, extents they're going to do in terms of like how far are they willing to go to share with me what they are doing, if that makes sense. So in this case, if they don't give it to me and they say like, no, I don't have it, right? well, then guess what's going to happen? It's going to be a problem, and I'm probably going to disqualify them when I review their application. Could you tell me what your career goals are? How would you describe your approach when talking to a prospect? We ask. We have a couple of questions to pick your brain, and then we go into the funny questions, because like the funny questions before even the hiring call is very important. As a closer, what is the main priority? There's no right or wrong. We just want to see how you think. You know, if someone says selling a product or service, just selling it down their throat, maybe not the best answer that someone could give. If they say helping or analyze the problems and sell solutions, ding, 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 great answer. If a prospect is speaking with you and is very skeptical about what the product or service you're selling, what would you do? So they answer that one. For example, you've pitched a product or service and presented the price, but the prospect says they need to think about it. How would you approach this, right? So we go into these things. If you're qualified for the call, do you promise to show up at a selected time? So this is one of the, I would say, more softer applications that we have. We have harder applications where they need to send a Loom video. They need to send a Loom video of how they would handle the objection, and then show us that they're not using ChatGPT or somewhere like in front of them or whatever, because we don't want like them only using ChatGPT. We want them to think themselves. And when they've done that, then we can continue and see if they actually are the right fit to be hired by us. So never ever will we do a call without someone that has actually filled out all these application questions correct. And if they're disqualified, we don't waste any time on people that come through. On about 100 people that come through this application, usually we get about 60 to 70 people that are actually qualified, 20 to 30 people that are actually going through to the next phase, 20, 30 people that we review. And then from those 20 to 30 people, we'll book in maybe 3 to 5 calls from the top prospects to assess it from there. It's a big, big, big pile of people, but it's very important that we find the right people that truly fit to our business. So we have this auto qualification. It will disqualify people who are not a good fit when they go through the application. And your sales manager reviews the application, or you if you're the sales manager, and then they send in a Loom culture test. So what happens is we don't hop on a call with them immediately. What we want to do is we want to ask them on top of that additional questions so they can filter themselves out on the culture. We want to see how they talk, what they do. We could ask them 5 objections that they could answer so they can give that to us in a Loom so we can handle that immediately, and we can see if they're actually the right fit, if they think the way that we also think within our business. So only after all of that, after they click on the ad, went through the application, so watch the video, went through the application, got qualified, sent in the Loom, which we approach them as a sales manager. We tell them, we want you to send a Loom talking about these things. We look at the Loom, and then we take a look at, okay, are they a good fit? Can we invite them for the interview? If that doesn't happen, if this is not quality, we are not going to invite them for a call. It's not going to happen, okay? Now, where are you going to find these people? Well, you can do it organically. You can post on your Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. Or, you know, the ads, in my opinion, are the best way to do it because they run 24/7. They'll find people for you without you even having to go through this. And if you have this process in place, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be creating an asset of people, pool of people, which you can then choose from at any certain time of the day. You're going to have so for example, we have a setters list asset, we have a closers list asset, we have different assets that we can deploy to our clients for a certain price because we paid to acquire these people at a certain price. Does that make sense? So, end all be all, that is how we do it. Now, the first filter is actually the ad. Because in the ad, we talk about the role, responsibilities, the requirements, the results, and they all go in the ad copy and the creative. So people who are not the right fit, they will filter themselves out before they even apply. They will see that and read it and then know this is not for me. So the careers page and the auto qualification, they catch the other people, but the ad already does a lot of the filtering on the front end. That's how 100 applications become 20 to 30, as I told you, and that are actually worth interviewing. Maybe we even put it down back to 3 to 5, as I said, in a lot of occasions. So that is the part of the qualification which we want to do and how that looks like. Now, when we get to the point where we've approved them as people that we can actually, you know, see fit in our culture and be someone that is actually good for our culture, well, then what's going to happen is we're going to invite them for the first interview. The first interview is a role play interview. And what you need to see is if they can handle the objection. So if they get emotional and how they handle pretty much a sophisticated B2B buyer on a call, or B2C in your case, depending on which audience you have. I always recommend looking for an experienced closer. So what does that mean? An experienced closer means someone that has already spent 1, 2, 3, 4 years in sales, that has done the sales that you are looking for in that realm, that has been trained by someone in the field that does something similar to what you do, which is maybe selling an online product, which is selling an online service, which is selling something that you understand as well and they have done before. Now, again, you might think that is hard to find. Well, yes, that's why hiring is one of the most important things. That's why without this system, you won't be able to do it. That's why you need something like this, bulletproof system that will help you with these things. Now, we run that role play when they get on a call with a hiring script that goes deep on 5 things, starting with connection and motivation. That's the first thing. So I always say, why do you actually want to do sales? What motivates you to do sales? Why do you actually want to do this role? What inspires you to wake up and say, I want to do sales? And if they say, I'm not inspired to do sales, then I know that they're not maybe a right fit to do sales. So I don't want to waste my time and their time, right? So an IT guy who's a very introverted, very structured, introverted, realistic, right? That person who doesn't want to talk with people is probably not your closer. I have my own COO who is an ISTJ on the 16 personalities test. He wouldn't do sales. It really doesn't make sense to put him on sales. If I were to put him on sales, it would destroy the things that he is good at, which is data management and pretty much things that he can make decisions on when it comes down to data, right? So overall, you need to choose the right person for the role. If you don't, you're going to have, again, a wrong set of expectations towards a person who doesn't want to do that. So in my opinion, the thing that we listen for is we listen to a salesperson knowing their numbers. They need to know their numbers, and they need to be a certain personality to be able to actually be the person that you are looking for. If they're not, it's going to be a very tough job for you to have someone who doesn't fit the job at all. So you need to know their numbers, and they should know their numbers. So they should know what have they closed, at what closing rate. No proof yet? They can record a role play video and show the skill anyway. We look for that proactivity, because the thing is, if they don't show proactivity before they get hired by you, guess what's going to happen? A lead is going to cancel the call because they think it's not a right fit, and they're going to let the lead go because they think that it's not a right fit. Instead of them becoming proactive and seeing that the lead misunderstood the thing that they actually thought was the offer, which is not the offer, because you have multiple offers maybe. You see what I'm saying? If someone doesn't show proactivity in the beginning stages, you're going to have a big problem eventually in terms of the later phases, right? So let's say, for example, 10 calls get booked, 5 are no-shows. Are they going to let those 5 people go to someone else because they are not proactive? Maybe because they didn't show that before. Or are they going to take responsibility? Well, they should take responsibility on the hiring call first. That's where you should see the responsibility taking. If they don't do that there, why should they do it when they start with you? It doesn't matter. They don't care. A week of no closes as well. How do they respond? How do they communicate when they're behind on target? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how disciplined are they with the follow-up sequences? Explain to me why. Why do you need to follow up with these people? Why not just let them go and go on to better, warmer leads? It's a trick question, but I need to know it. Why? That's the important question. That's what we listen for. We need to know the numbers. We need to know the proactivity and the responsiveness. Those are traits you want to be looking for when it comes down to the closer. Now, I'm going to ask this question to you because it's a very important one. This is the funny question I ask. The question I want to ask them because I want to see how they think more than anything else. I want to see how they think. So there's no right answer. I always tell them there's no right answer. There's just you telling me what you think just to see how you think. That's it. Imagine you had a spaceship, and this spaceship can only go to one place. It can go to a planet full of leads who all have money but zero trust in you, or a planet full of leads who all trust you but are completely broke. And you can only sell to one of these planets. Now, which one do you pick, and how do you make money there? Before you think of the answer in the comments down below in this video. I want to know what you thought before I give you my answer. And kind of the right answer. There's not really a right answer, but again, there's somewhat a right answer and one that makes more sense. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. So here's the answer. For me, again, there's no right or wrong. Just keep this in mind. In my opinion, I'd always rather have people that have money, but that have no trust in me. I'll tell you why. The reason why is because when I have people that have no trust in me, that trust can be built. So let's say that trust is a 1 out of 10. I can get that trust to a 6 out of 10, make them want to buy with me. Now, the other flip of the coin. Let's say we have people that have no money at all, but they have full trust, right? In that case, you would say, well, couldn't you go for volume and just sign more people? Well, not if they only have $10. If they have $10 and they pay me $10, I would need 10, 100, 1,000 people to earn 10K a month instead of me having people who have money where I would just need maybe 2 people. It's a big difference between 1,000 people and 2 people. It's a big difference. That being said, when a lead has no money, when they're broke, they need to find the money. They need to figure out a way to get the money. They will take time to find the money. They can trust me. They can see me as Mother Teresa or something. I will not be able to close them because they don't have the money. They cannot pay me with anything, right? So a planet with people that have money is better because I can work on the trust building factor. I can ask them, how can I give you trust? And I can get that over. And as long as I get their trust, they will be paying me for the solution that I can give them. That's my answer. Let me know what your answer was. I'm very curious to know, but this is the question I ask them. Now, some people tell me, I want broke leads. And I'm like, oh, interesting. It's a very interesting question. So this question comes forward from the book from Jeff Bezos. It's the Amazon store. I always forget the name of it. The Amazon store, pretty much book that he has. And in this book, he talks about that he always asks a weird question. Now, this weird question which he asks is, how many windows are there in the entirety of New York City? Again, there's no right or wrong. He just wants to understand how someone thinks. Same thing goes for me. I want to see how you think. I want to see what you do. I want to see how you act with these things. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to see. And when you give me that, we can move on or not. Maybe someone will be not creative and they'll say, I don't want to sell on both planets. I want to sell on planets with people that have money and that trust me, which could be an answer too. There's no right or wrong. So it's just a good question to see how someone thinks as a closer. And this is the exact system that we run with our clients, right? So we built the role document, the funnel, the hiring script, and the ramp up with the clients on the closing side. Again, take inspiration from us, whether you work with us or not. That is the thing that we do, and that is the thing that we set up. So again, if you want to see an example of the 4R Head of Client Success document, I'm going to share it with you just very quickly. Again, we have internal documents that are bigger. This is just an example one. So we have the role. Boom. You're the head of client success at For Success. This is what you do. This is your job, right? The responsibilities, what you do daily, what you do not do, how you think. The requirements. You're a strong fit if this. You're not a strong fit if this. Results. What do you do? What are the expected results? What are the weekly results? What is the monthly results? And what is the salary, what you're going to be earning? What are the core values? And the final note. This is something that we create and that we give them after they've done the application on that page and need to make, or at least like when they come to the interview, and then we pretty much talk with that and then we give them this. So that is the 4R document. So we have ad, do video, landing page, then application page, then they do a Loom video pretty much. We ask them a little bit of a culture thing. Then they get invited to a call. We share the 4R role document with them. We ask them those questions that I mentioned to you as well in terms of the hiring script. And then we go through these things to make sure that they are the right fit so we don't waste anyone's time. Last but not least, we have the paid trial. So the call 1, they watch. From call 4, they're on their own. And I'll give you an example what I mean with this. I will never, ever, unless a closer is so experienced and I know that they're going to do well, I never let a closer do things by themselves before we get things off the road. Very important. After onboarding, they will go into a paid trial. So they will get 10% commission if they close someone. This paid trial is 2 weeks. On the first call that they will get on their calendar booked, they join a call with you or your best closer. For me, it's the best closer. He joins the call with them. And then I give him commission as well on it. He gets 5%. Because they first need to see how it's done. The best closer will do the call, or you will do the call. They will see and not say anything. They will just be the business partner sitting there, noting down things. That's it, right? That's the first call. They will learn, sit, listen, assess, and evaluate after the call with you. Call 2 is they will run the call together with that closer, right? Which means if you or your top closer does the call, they will come on that second call, and what will happen is that they will, the main closer will, for example, let the new closer start the call, talk, and the best closer will jump in if needed. So sometimes I'll jump in if needed, the best closer will jump in if needed, and we'll do it like that. That's call 2. Call 3 is they run it completely themselves with the closer still on. So again, if you're still closing yourself, or your top closer, will be on the call, but they'll not say anything. Like the new closer will do everything. And if they mess up, then you will jump in. You will tweak them if needed, right? From call 4, they will do the calls alone, completely alone. And then you as a sales manager will review their calls one a week. You'll review it, you'll give them feedback, you'll do a weekly call with them, assess everything, and align basically on what needs to improve. And over a 2-week span, we will assess if they're actually doing well. And daily in those 2 weeks, right? Daily calls we'll do in those 2 weeks to make sure they follow the script, follow the right process, and get the closing rate up. In my opinion, it says daily calls. I used to do that. I now do like weekly calls, like weekly one-on-one calls with each of my closers. I do a weekly sales team meeting to just assess how everything is going and just analyzing everything that is needed pretty much on every single front. So we make sure that everything is aligned on behalf of making things as good as we can. That is the paid trial. At the end of the paid trial, right, is mainly an evaluation. Sitting down with them, looking at their KPIs, looking at their stats, not pretty much telling them that they are going to be put out of the business if they didn't close, because if someone is a true beginner, I don't expect them to close at a 40% closing rate the week that they start, right, the 2 weeks. I expect them to do a certain thing. So I set the expectations with them from the 4R role document. I tell them, I want you to be positive on the calls, show the right offer, make sure that the person feels good with you, has a good connection with you, these types of things. That is what I say. I don't say, I expect you to close all the clients that you talk with. That doesn't make any sense. They just started. Plus, they're going to have calls with us together on it. So it's kind of like blended in together. So here's the part that everyone misses. The top 1% closers, they will only align with companies going for a goal higher than anything. In my company, we are striving for more than 1 million a month every single month. That is the goal within my company, right? If you don't have standards and principles in your business, you don't show leadership, the best people won't want to work with you. Listen, I have an incredible team. I have a great, great, great team. The only reason why that team is there with me is because for me, it's very client-centric. Every hire has to care for the client. It's not just closing them to earn the next paycheck. It's pretty much giving them an understanding that they can be part of something greater, and you'll attract the best closers instead of people who are just beginning. And making them understand that the client journey starts with them signing the client. It's not where it ends. When they as a closer get a client onboarded, the key goal is staying in touch with that person so that there can be an upsell made in the future. That's the goal, right? Not just you handing it over and that's it. Because the money is not only in getting the first sale, the money is actually in retaining the client long term. That is the goal. So that is it, guys. The overall recap is define the role, build that funnel, test the thinking, ramp the closers up. So the 4R document, it sets the expectations before you ever talk to anyone. And that's something you need first. Because if you don't have those things in check, you can make an ad, you can make a funnel, you can do the questionnaire, you can make them have a Loom video, pretty much after they did it, but it's not going to help you the way that you want it to be working. You need to, for it to be working, to understand all these things that we talked about, right? Then the second thing is the ads ecosystem after you have the 4R role document, which filters 70 to 80 of every 100 applications out before an interview, right? So the hiring script, it shows you how people think, right? And then the paid trial proves it on real calls. That's the 4 things that we need to do and that you can do moving forward from having watched this call or this video. Feels like a call, like I'm almost talking to you. But anyways, I hope this was valuable for you. I hope you got an insight of how to hire the right people. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I would really invite you to book a call with us so we can walk you through the entire process. If you have a hiring issue, we will help you with that as well when it comes down to what we do. We don't just look at one constraint. We look at all different constraints in your business, fix that, help you with that, scale your business to the next level. You will get a free assessment and constraint analysis from us. That's something that comes with it. We'll make a full document for you or a presentation and show that to you so you walk away with a call with pure value and not just some fluff that pretty much you can find on ChatGPT or Claude yourself. So that being said, thank you so much for watching. I wish you an amazing day and see you in the next one.